First of all, I want to know where you heard that I would be a doctor, or that was a dream. No. I want to talk about it because I did kind of. I mean, there's a few jobs there's a few jobs that school will set you up for, and I think a doctor is one of them. And obviously, you keep going back to school for that. And I didn't make it through high school. I dropped out sophomore year, took my GED, and just let it be. I had other opportunities calling my name, but that was never the plan, and that was never. I spent the first 15 years of my life living very, planned, organized, and kind of like, this is the next step, this is what I'm going to do. And it never crossed my mind that I would do anything different. And I think once those things did kind of start creeping into my life, and I did kind of start seeing other opportunities or other potential things I could do, I just kind of scratched everything I had previously thought and kind of went on a whim. But I don't know. To answer that question, I don't think I'd ever successfully be a doctor, even if I didn't leave school. So I don't know. I think it was very overwhelming and undeserved, and still is at the time and now. Just because at the time, and I'm still figuring out how to use my influence and what that means, and what being a brand is, and being something more than just a person, which I am just a person. And I think navigating that whole area or universe has been completely different. I think navigating that whole universe has been very difficult, and it's an honor to be named, even in the same name as some of those people on that list, but I definitely don't deserve that. And it's cool to get praised for things like that, and Time Magazine's huge, and that I will always, I'm gonna always use that. I'll say it to my parents, and that'll go with me, wherever, but I don't know. I think in terms of influence, anyone or anything can have a huge impact in no time, in today's world, basically. So I don't know. I think I just took advantage of the time and space and opportunities I was given, and it ended up working out. But I don't know. In terms of influence, though, that's crazy to even be on that list. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Yeah, mentally, I think there was, and when I turned 18, I had a lot of reservations of who I was going to be and what I was going to do, because I felt this day that I'm 18, I now have to take everything more seriously. I'm now an adult. Everything is kind of different, and not much changed. And then when I turned 20, the same thing. I'm doing it right now, and it's I'm growing. I'm an adult, and all of the things that I used to look at as a kid, I'm now looking at with a completely new perspective, and my mindset has completely flipped 1,000 different times. So I think that definitely was a Kickstarter for all that. The way that people treated me changed, the way that people looked at me changed, and vice versa. I would perceive and intake everything just differently. So yeah, that switched up everything. How that switched up everything, and it's impactful in everyday life, and it's impactful in the long-term situation. So there's things that are still happening because of that Time article, and there's things that that I haven't or have been able to do because of that Time article, and privacy is definitely one of them. You got to give that away. You have to give away there's certain pros and cons to every situation, obviously, but that was one I had to learn to live with, and I'm still learning how to live with that, and how to best, how to make the most out of being one of the most influential people in the world. Whether it was that year, or whether it'll happen again or never again, that's something that I feel like I have to live up to. So, still, my first ever meetup was with a guy named Jerome Jar, who's the world's leading activist right now. He's probably one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite people on this earth, and I think I've learned so much from him on what to do with my influence, on how to act, and who to be, and what's the next step for social media kids, or influencers, or whatever you want to call them, because no one really knows the space yet. It's so brand new, and there's social media influencers and digital market, whatever you want to call it. There's so many names for them. Whatever you want to say, that they don't know what to do once they hit a peak. For me, in 2014, 2015, I didn't know what to do other than grow. So I was just trying to get followers. I didn't have any other goals. I didn't have aspirations. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my influence, and that's working completely backwards, which is terrible. And I had to kind of take some time off and figure out, what are those goals? How do I want to impact the world? What change can I make? What can I shine light on, or help? If I can just impact one person, how can I do that? And that was a whole discourse from everything I had been doing at the time. And it was kind of like a wake-up call. But to go back to your question, what was your question?
We're just talking about just the craziest moments.
Craziest moments, yes.
Going out of control.
To go back to your question, Jerome Jar, first time I ever left my state and country was, we went to Reykjavik, Iceland, and we did a meetup, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd never done a meetup. I had 1 million followers on Vine. I don't really know if I had followers anywhere else at the time. But he made like a little flyer and said, come to the Reykjavik Mall at this time and we'll take pictures with you. And we pulled up to the mall, and there was like 5,000 people in and outside the mall, all speaking different languages. And I had my grandma with me and Jerome, and we instantly all got separated, and like just mobs of people on every floor of this mall in the middle of Iceland. And like I had never seen a response like that in my life. And I knew like at that moment that was like, whatever this is, I'm gonna keep doing that. I don't know what I did to deserve this or get here, but that's what I'm gonna keep doing for, you know, as long as it lasts. And I remember like that was the moment where like, you know, I was like, wow, this is just like overwhelming love. And like, I don't know, it was running in, it was like, first of all, I never thought I would leave the country. I never thought I would like travel like that for fun, especially as a young person. And then to have that happen, my mind was instantly expanded just by traveling. And then to meet people and to see that there's people all over the world that are not only supporting you, but like they're creating and doing so much stuff that's underappreciated, and like I was so honored to be able to go to a place like Iceland and experience that love. So that was probably the best moment for me in terms of like fan reactions or anything, just because that was literally probably the most overwhelming love I've ever felt, and I had never felt it before. But what ended up happening was the SWAT team came because there was like people getting trampled, and like Jerome was like on top of a car trying to like get out, and I ended up like getting stuck in the mall for like 3 or 4 hours, and like 2 or 3 like random people from Iceland had just kind of like scooped me into their wing and like taken me into like a back mall area that was like locked off, and like I just ended up having like an hour conversation with like these 3 kids that lived in Iceland, and like eventually got let out of the mall and like was separated from my grandma and from Jerome. But that was definitely like, that was number one for me, and that was the first time like I had experienced that. But that was like getting thrown into a whole world of chaos.
I think that qualifies for craziest moments. Would you guys say?
For sure. But then we did a press tour after that, so like I didn't expect to do a meetup. I didn't expect there to be anyone. I didn't know, like I always looked at this as numbers, and like there was no people behind, you know, 1 million followers. Like those are just like accounts or whatever. Like, and then like you go see the impact, and like we were on every news channel in Iceland doing like a whole press tour just from this one meetup that like my friend had suggested that we do. And like without that introduction, who knows like what would have happened and what wouldn't have happened. So what's it called when you're an introvert and an extrovert? There's like a word for it. It's like it's something that's not an intro or extrovert. It's a vert. It's one of those. But growing up, I was definitely like super shy, and my parents kind of always would push me into something or like kind of give me like a kickstart, like, this is who you should hang out with. If you're the smartest person in the room, you shouldn't be in that room. Or like giving me all these like lessons, and like I never really was good at socializing or like making new friends, for example. But I think like at a certain point I had to realize that like, or at a certain point I realized that getting out of my comfort zone and you know, thinking, not caring about, oh, what's the line I just crossed or what's the boundary I just crossed, and kind of just being myself, that really opened me up to making new friends. And I mean, literally, I can't explain how different of a person I was as just like a kid growing up to now, because like you said, like you can be, you know, who you want to be, but and keep it to yourself. But until you are like really confident and happy with who you are, and like you just like, and it takes time. And that's the one thing I hate about about this life, is that we have to grow to be comfortable with ourselves. And it takes time to grow and be comfortable with yourself. And I think it just took time for me to do that. And after, you know, a certain amount of time, I realized I should have been doing this my whole life. I should be outgoing. I should be, you know, an extrovert, I guess, and just try to learn as much as I can and be open. And everyone has something to offer. That came to me as soon as I moved out here. I was like, every single person has something that can help you, that can teach you, whatever it is. So yeah, find that help. Don't act like you know everything, and figure it out. Like, learn as much as you can. So that mindset definitely that came on fast.
Nice.
It's called ambivert.
Ambivert, thank you. Definitely had the middle child syndrome, which I don't know how everyone else describes it, but basically it's and so my birthday's 3 days after Christmas. So we do like a little celebratory thing for me, like whatever, you know, that few days, that was like my thing, whatever. And then every other day for the rest of the year was focused on my older brother or my younger brother from both my parents. And like I don't think it was like, you know, out of like, oh, you're not our favorite, you're our middle child. It was just like, your first child is like, you know, the first one to leave. So like you got to focus on that. And then your youngest child is like the youngest one. So you got to focus on what he's doing. And the middle one just kind of like keeps everything going calm. And like from all the middle, like my uncle is a middle child. Everyone that I've talked to is a middle child. They say the same thing, that they're just kind of like the peacekeepers of the family. But then what ended up happening was my brother went to college and I left like almost instantly after that. So then I was gone and my younger brother and my half sister were the only ones at the house. So like, I was in and out of the middle child syndrome, but growing up, I was getting bullied by your older brother, and then trying to teach your younger brother stuff, but he's not listening. And then like, I don't know. I'm just thankful to have siblings though, because I definitely learned and grew up faster from having those, and like I think my younger brother grew up faster just from having me, and vice versa. So, yeah, I think I don't know. I like being a middle child though.
Nice.
I wouldn't mind doing it again in another life.
Well, and then now your little sister, how young is she?
She is 8.
8. What's the age difference there?
She's 8. My older brother is 20, just turned 22. I'm 20, and then my younger brother is turning 18 in June. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I guess I've always been. I don't know. I've always been. Or I've always wanted to just like hang out and talk with kids. I feel like they have such fresh minds and things to offer, and like the more time I spend around everyone, the more I'm like, you know what, I need like the joy of like children who just don't care or don't know about all these terrible or big things that are happening in the world. Because like the more you learn about the world, the more like depressed I get because of how much terrible shit is happening. But to a certain point, like a kid or like a free spirit, like, or even a baby, like that existing in the world just makes me feel so much better. So I think I was just naturally drawn to hang out with younger kids or impress them or whatever it was, just show them something. I felt like the smartest maybe, I don't know what it was. But when Skyland was born, we were all there in the room, watched her be born. That was also life-changing. And then basically her whole life, me, my older brother, and Hayes just kind of catered everything to her. She was kind of like the sole breadwinner of the family, as far as like, not like that, but like as far as like, everything that we're doing to make sure that you have the best life ever, that you grow up in the best possible way. And it's been cool to see. She's like so down to earth. She like literally doesn't like care about anything. She plays outside all day. It's super cool to see. But I think she definitely was my best friend for like a few years when I was living in North Carolina, just because I could talk to her and she could talk to me about anything and it wouldn't have anything to do with what was stressing me out. So I mean, we just had a good friendship and we would just play all the time, and I don't know, it was fun. I don't know how that relationship formed though. It just came out of being siblings, I guess.
I think that was it, and a little bit of you feeling like you
yeah.
know a lot.
I mean, all I had was brothers, so like I guess like having a sister was like a completely new experience for me, and I wanted to make it the best that I possibly could. And it's crazy. She's huge, and like she's like a full person now, and like she had a personality when she was like 1 or 2, and it was way ahead of her age and time, and like it was just, she's amazing. She's underrated.
Nice.
I definitely feel like influencers aren't doing enough in terms of like shining light on important issues or things that need to be talked about or seen. And there's a lot that's not seen that goes on behind the scenes that people need to know about, that the news or news channels don't do a good job about. And I saw a video the other day of like 40 different news networks saying the same thing word for word, and they were playing together, and it just scared me. I was so scared. I was like, we're literally being fed these stories and these same things, and like we need real people all over the world like communicating and showing us what's happening so that we can like fix a problem or shine light on a situation. And I think influencers can help a lot with that, and there's a lot that don't do that, and I think I should be doing more. I think everyone should be doing more, but in terms of like actually making that impact, that's where you want to do it. You want to be able to go somewhere where you can see the change happen firsthand, and like that's why Jerome's so awesome. He's literally changed activism. Like he goes and meets with the prime minister of countries and with presidents and talks about how he can help certain issues, and he's raised millions of dollars and shows how that money affects the problem that he's fixing. Whereas some of these big charities or corporations will just kind of like text 555 and donate, and then you never hear or see about it again. And a lot of those times those issues don't get fixed, and they continue, and they're strung out and they're donated for this whole time. And and I'm not saying there's anything against donating. Definitely, help where you feel like you're helping, but at a certain point, someone has to be making the change happen, and someone has to be showing that that change is happening. And that's not to say that the change isn't happening if it's not being shown, but it's important that it is seen, I think. So that's what I want to focus more on, and that's what I think anyone in my space should be focusing more on. And yeah, I'm definitely influenced by the people that do that more. So yeah, I'm going to Swaziland in second week of May for about a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Swaziland, where's that?
Swaziland it's near South Africa,
Oh, nice.
but it's like a country up and to the right, I think.
Wakanda? Near Wakanda?
Yeah, I wish, but no, it's a beautiful country, and I just went to South Africa earlier this year. That was my first time in the continent, and I think that's the most underrated place I've ever been to. And I think I just want to explore the whole continent. But I met a lot of cool people and had some cool connections, and yeah, I think going back and kind of showing what it's like, and that it's not, everyone has their perception of another place basically before they've seen it, before they've actually been there, and I think you can always throw that right out the door and when you arrive in a place that you've never been, just because it's nothing anyone would ever expect. But yeah, I'm excited to go do that again and to go be in Swaziland, and I'm bringing someone who's never left the country, I don't think, and we're going to document the whole thing and build latrines and biosand filters and wells and all sorts of stuff, and kind of take this village and see if we can get them clean water every day, because water is just one of 1,000 issues right now that are really harming this world that no one knows about. I think there's 700 million people that don't have access to clean water. Most diseases are spread through water. Everything, we need water to survive. Like it's water. So like anyone that can help with that, whether it's a donation, whether it's raising awareness, whether it's going somewhere and doing it hands-on without anyone else, like just alone, all of that can completely change the world. So I would say more influencers, more people should focus on that. And if you're welcome to come along, you're welcome to join. But I definitely am like super excited to document that and just to see that change happen firsthand. In 2015, I met this guy, Bera, and he is an artist. He's a Georgian artist, the country Georgia, not the state. And I directed his music video. I flew out all the way to Georgia to meet with him for like 2 weeks. He has this crazy studio, and like he just showed me around his country, and that was one of my favorite places I've ever seen. But he introduced me to fashion, basically. Like when I met him, he had such a unique look, and he was just like always dressed fly, and like he took me to Paris Fashion Week, and like instantly we'd show up, and like there's all these fans and stuff, and like it was that was super fun just to like experience that. But we go right to a Vivienne Westwood show, and I had not seen really much of anything from Vivienne Westwood, and like just instantly fell in love, and like that's still my favorite designer, and that was still my favorite like fashion moment. And like I think we sat at 5 or 6 shows that week, and like I just, after that whole experience, I was like, I need to be more hands-on in this. I just want to be in this industry somehow. I think the fashion industry is the industry that is most art forward. Like as far as everything goes, like there's always, every industry is trying to make money. Every industry is money driven, and that is the sole thing like pushing the industry. But when it comes to fashion, I think art is maybe the number one, or close to it. And that's kind of why I really wanted to be a part of it. And I don't know what the secret or way is to get more into it. I just know that I can dress myself, and that like the more open I can be as far as like looks and other people's looks, like that's going to help me. And like I think going to these shows and seeing someone's vision come to life, even if it's for 10 minutes, the music, the setup, the outfits, obviously the models, everything, like I was just mind blown by that whole experience. So yeah, I definitely want to get more into the fashion industry, and the shows I have walked in have been absolutely surreal and eye-opening and scary, definitely scary for the first 30 seconds I was about to pee. But yeah, I mean, I want to do more in the whole industry, and I mean, and one of the reasons Vivienne Westwood's my favorite, she does so much outside of fashion that for the environment, for awareness, everything. So she's definitely a huge inspiration to me, and seeing someone take their art and use it to help people, that's really cool. So yeah, big fan of fashion. I'm still kind of learning how to act, and I think a lot of acting is learning how to be natural in a situation. And acting is like a whole art in itself, and auditioning is a whole art in itself. And there's so many little tangible things that make it unique. When the Outfield came across, that was what got me to LA. I showed that contract to my parents, and it was 3 months shooting in LA, and that's what, I was like, I need to be in LA. I need to shoot this. This is like a real opportunity, and like that's what got me out here basically. And it was supposed to be 3 months, shoot it, go home. Never left. Made sure that I never left. That was my plan the whole time. But yeah, reading the movie, that was like when we got the script, my motivation was, all right, I'm gonna be an actor now. Let's do it. And that was never really my motivation. My motivation was to get out here and to start working and finding opportunities. And I think everyone that becomes popular on social media, they either want to go be a singer or an actor or whatever, which is definitely the right feeling. It's like, all right, what's the next step for me? But I don't think there has to be a cap on being on social media. You can be an artist on social media solely, on a website solely, on one platform or one app solely. So I think learning that was definitely difficult. And I spent a year out here trying to get into. I spent a year out here trying to get into traditional media and to, really work on acting and sitting with coaches every day and going to theaters. And I loved that, and I love acting, and I want to be an actor and act well. But doing that, you have to kind of step back and learn how to be comfortable with yourself. You have to know the material like it's part of you. You have to basically just be that person on the page. So I think that definitely took some time. I don't know if I had that ready in the Outfield or not. You guys can watch and let me know. But the overwhelming success that it had definitely blew me back. And it made me hungry. And I was kind of mad that I didn't really respect the whole art of acting, and I didn't get into it as much until after that movie had been shot, but I'm still getting into it. I'm still learning. I want to get one of my scripts greenlit. That's it. I just want to slap it down on the table, and I want someone to say, yes, we're going to make this. And like, I haven't been trying that for too long. That could take me years. I don't have a cap on that. I don't think that is going to happen this year, but I'm, outgoing, or which one are you hopeful?
Yeah, ambition.
I'm ambitious, yeah. I'm ambitious, for that, but I don't know. I mean, that's a whole world. Like, there's all these things, basically. Acting, writing, producing, directing, modeling, whatever it is that you do. I just want to do that one thing that I'm doing at the moment to my absolute fullest. And I think overall, I figured out what I want to do in spending 5 years out here, and that's basically being a storyteller. And I think you can do that with art. I think you can do that on paper. I think you can do that in any way possible. I just want to tell stories, tell other people's stories, make them come to life. I think that is my niche, and that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Cool.
Perfect.
Sweet.